And hello, everyone. Welcome, people. Welcome to Sashari's world, to a world of pure love and harmony. And today we're going to go a little bit new topics about. Are we good there everywhere? Are you checking
Hi,
your...
good evening. Welcome everyone. Another beautiful Thursday. Hello from LA. And let me just do a quick
Sound check, sound check, sound check. Are we good? So today is very interesting topic to go around because we are talking about this like a week, days 3 to 7, right?
No, it's already day 7 to 9.
Oh, 7 to 9. So, no, 7 to... It's not a 7 to 9. It's 7 to... How much?
7 to 9.
No, it's not 7 to 9. 7 to 14. Like the entire week. Now this week is very interesting one. To be, bear with me here because this is the most criticized one, because in this week, regardless of the vaccination status, I still do not introduce my dogs to a world of outside the home, because every single time we introduce puppies to the world and we take them out in this uncertain place that they don't and can't control, they got caught with all the attention of the cars, of the other dogs, of the other birds, of the people, and they just know how to react. And they actually don't respond to that environment, but start reacting. And in that reaction, we never know actually how they can communicate with us. Look at him. Look who we have with us today. It's a little puppy. It can stay with us a little bit in our little say hi to the world and to me, and you can sleep here a little bit until you do not get tired.
Oh, by the way, we just posted a new video today of you bathing him, again in complete silence. And then also you can read the instructions there if you want to try it at home. It's a really nice bonding experience. But yeah, you can see the video. It's right on the channel and it was posted today.
So what do you actually do with the doggies in that second week, like 7 to 14 days before you take them out for the first time? We need to get them used to all kind of noises of the other people and of the other animal, preferably other dogs, before we take them out. So all what we do is we introduce all of that within the home, with us rewarding their behavior that's good and not giving attention to a behavior that's bad. So that's the most important thing. Raising a puppy in a pure love and harmony doesn't include a word no, doesn't include any obedience training, and doesn't include anything that would be I don't know. Can you hear him when he touches the mic? Does he have a problem with that? Can you hear that like a noise?
No, but can you fix your arm so this thing isn't like pointing directly out?
Like how?
So it's not in your face. Is there any way you can adjust it or not really? It's too late.
I don't know. I guess it's good. So how do I do that? So
Okay,
the very important thing is actually that you can use loud noises. Like you remember when I told you, like, grab something. I played with a puppy.
Oh, to desensitize, you mean?
Yeah, to desensitize anything that might come across when you take him out. So you first do the desensitization of the loud noise, loud and unexpected noises. Yes. So while you are playing with your puppy, no matter is it you have his attention, like either it's attention by giving him a piece of the cheese or playing him with a little toy. You have the other partners of yours or someone that's going to help you in this crime create loud noises. So for example, we use
you can bang on pots and pans, or if you're by yourself, you can play like loud noises on speakers. You can find like loud noises on YouTube or something like that. And the whole idea is like for you to be working or engaging with your puppy and then out of nowhere have loud sounds, bangs, pots and pans banging, and then just to continue to work with the dog for him to get used to the sound and for him not to get startled and for him to see your reaction that it's okay.
That's very important, and that brings the attention of the to desensitizing according to these noises. So all of that you create a little plan and a little journal about that. So Monday you can decide that you can a couple of times a day introduce puppy to the thunderstorms, and then you get your speakers loud and you get your puppy engaged in the thunderstorm day. The next time what you can do is actually you can come up with an idea, and now you're gonna introduce the fireworks. Get your sounds up, get your attention of your puppy away. Grab your attention of your puppy, maybe with the food or with some play time, and then have someone experience. Have your speakers up and running with fireworks. It's too late to react and to act on a puppy's on emotion when the puppy's having an idea of now it's a thunderstorm, or now they're outside the fireworks and my dog is like completely insane. So first, that insanity comes from the not believing and not trusting us enough that we handle this and we have all of this under control. There is other ways of desensitizing relationship with the noises like a thunderstorm or like fireworks, is to use the anti-thunderstorms little coats, or wrap your dogs in, safely wrap them. We have, I think I have on my channel the video how to do that, but in reference I can do it again with the little puppy, how to wrap the dogs for the thunderstorm. But that's everything of that is just fixing the symptom. Doesn't come down to a core of the relationship of the humans and the dogs, and that's a mistrust. So that bond need to be developed prior you take your dog to a first walk. And everything that's done in that second week of your engagement, that includes not only the puppies, that includes also the dogs that you adopted, all dogs, and every single dog that gets into our home and comes into our life. You would go through the same process. So you would first, you would have a day 1, you would have a day 3, you would have a day first week, you would have a second week, you would have a third week, and on the end of the second week, you're gonna start the taking the dog out, and on the third week, you will be ready to start off-leash walks, but not before that. Don't stress the dog with asking from him to control too much. And then occasionally this little puppy almost stopped having toilet things at home. Occasionally he gonna do it here and there on a pets, but as we take him out, as we introduce more and more the walks, he actually goes and his territory becomes much wider. So actually the home on its own remains the cave. And once he understands that there is a world around that cave, then he starts to mark the territory and then to do the toileting, the peeing and pooing outside the cave. And then as you introduce the world outside, as you introduce the danger, because the perceived danger is what's the problem for the dog. If you don't... he had a problem, not a problem, he was very interesting into humans and into dogs when we first started out, because we just didn't have any people coming over, neither he had the dogs since we have him. So he got his little, protection of his territory, and wherever the territory is, where his leaders take him. So when we take him to a walk, he felt like responsible to protect us and the territory. And then he actually barked to strange people and to dogs. But soon he understood it's a not threat, neither to us, neither to them. Slowly he stopped doing that. Mm-hmm. And now he doesn't even do the toileting at home anymore, because we started with one room, we introduce him to the entire apartment, and then we introduce him to the whole world outside the apartment, and slowly the apartment become the cave.
So you gradually introduce him to more and more space. But can you again talk like very simply or like very concisely about potty training? Because I know it's like a big topic. We get a lot of the questions are about potty training, and the videos, like the little shorts and reels and little TikToks that get the most views and engagements are about potty training. So can you spend like some time discussing that and like really step by step and really precisely tell people the proper way to do it? And then also, you know, maybe touch back again on when you first get a dog that you shouldn't ever punish them really, but also when you get a new puppy, they're actually using the bathroom all over the place in order to attract the scent to try to get the mother to look for them.
Yes, so that is always what we need to we need to take the toileting and the potty training is a pottying wherever. It's actually signalization. It's nothing to do with, oh my God, he need to go to toilet. The dogs would go to toilet, and it's a physiological need for the dog to go to toilet, but they would use it always to communicate, as well as they're going to use the pooing and peeing as a way of communication. And it would always be done outside the cave. That's the most important thing to understand. If they do it in the cave, it does have a message. So if they do it within the cave, it has a message. So now we need to always, when you potty train your dog, you always need to have a place where they sleep, and place where you train them with the potty train. That's kind of like a place. If you start a place where they're gonna go to toilet, they're gonna mark that territory. They are not going to a toilet. They are marking the territory. And if you properly communicate with them what is a cave and what is a territory, they would never do it within the home. They would never do it in the cave. And that is why you start with a little portion of your apartment if you are in a studio, or with one room if you are in a multi-room apartment. So you start small, and then you have place where the bed is and the place where the potty, those pee pads are. And then you will see that he will never do the peeing and pooing around the bed. He would do it aside. And now you can have a bed there and the pee pad next to the bed. So he can connect. I don't pee in the bed. If he pees in a bed, it means that he's calling someone to a bed. He wants to make an attention to a cave. So when the puppy is peeing within the cave, it's a message for the owner to look for him. As when you take a dog for the first couple of days, they might even pee in a bed, because the reason why they are doing that is to attract the mother and the siblings to look for them. But they can't attract them because the lady we took a dog from is in Atlanta and we live in LA. So it's like X amount of the 3,000 miles away, right? There is no way they're gonna attract, but he gonna still try. And he did try. In the first day, he did pee and poo next to a door, but we were inside because he was in a panic looking for his siblings and mother. So that's very important to distinguish those things. So the potty training is always distinguishing properly what is a bad place, what is a cave, and what is outside a cave. So if you have a room that, for example, there is a room, it's our bed, it's his bed next to our bed, and then we had a toilet, like a bathroom that was next door, and we opened the bathroom and we put a couple of pee pads down, okay? And that was his first day. He was going there and he started to do it, because they always want to go out from their place, their cave, and then to mark the territory. So the bathroom was a territory and the bedroom was a cave. When we put him outside, when we opened him 2 doors, so now he can access the kitchen and the office, Then we put the pee pads in the office and outside the in the little corridor next to this how you call that, next to a kitchen. Then he slowly stopped using ones in a toilet in the bedroom, and he started using ones in a office and in the the kitchen. It's not a kitchen; it's kitchen and a courtyard, right? Somewhere
next to the
corridor,
the hallway.
the
that
hallway,
leads to
yeah,
the
hallway, yeah.
outdoors.
And then finally, when he introduced him to a living room, we put the pee pads next to a door, to
Patio.
patio. So as you open the space that he can have a more territory, as well the more of the cave, he will start using those pads that are away from the place where he spends the time the most. And that is how you actually occasionally take the dog outside the home into outer world, and then he actually claim entire apartment as a cave and stop peeing and pooing within the cave and goes outside and does it when you take him to a walk. That he don't take as a walk. It's not a walk. It's marking the territory, looking for the food and protecting what's ours. And how do you do that? By peeing and leaving the mark of you poo. That's why the dogs are doing that. And they're not the dogs. That's why every single animal is doing those things. They're using a specific scent to mark what's theirs. And that's what we need to take into consideration. If the dog starts peeing and pooing within the apartment, it's because he wants to attract your attention. Especially, it's important, are they doing that when you are with them? Or are they doing that when you are separated? So when they are doing that when you are separated, what he tries to do is to mark the cave so you will be able to smell your way back. And that's again mistrust. That's a level of anxiety. If the dog does that, what he's actually doing, he's trying to help you to find your way back home. Why is he doing that? Because you are separated, you are not together. And why that bothers him? Because he doesn't trust you when you are not together. With your behavior and what we are doing with our behavior, that's not understanding the dogs from the level of what the dogs actually are. The little wolves, the wolf puppies that need guidance, that need leadership, that need structure, that need inspiration. That is how you actually, was that clear?
How do they know to use the pee pad? Is it just like instinctively, or?
Because that's the first thing that actually looks like it can leave a mark on. So they're gonna use pee pads on the pee pads on the
Oh, so like
on the floor, because it does look like something that need to be marked, and it's gonna keep the scent. So you need to leave them. If you don't have a pee pads and you use a pee pads when the dogs are, let's say, created, then they're gonna understand that every single time when they have a pee pad, they need to mark there. So that is how you can protect your carpets, by teaching a dog to use a pee pad. How you gonna teach the dog to use a pee pad? On the beginning, just corner him, like create a little space for him where you will have a bed and a pee pad. And then as you go and as you expand, the dog will always look for the pee pad. Not because he used to pee pad, but he's used to mark the territory where the pee pad is. And as you move a pee pad away from the bed, in the same room, away from the room, next to the exit, slowly the dog is, going around and marking his territory. So it's not a toilet.
So
you need to forget that it's not a toilet. It's marking the territory. And the territory is everything that's not a home. Because you don't invite, you don't want anyone in a home rather than the family. So when every single time someone comes to home, it's a potential danger. And then you need to train. You not only need to train people, your dogs kind of look to communicate with them. You need to train all the people that are coming to your home to properly communicate with your dog. Because that's what, is that true?
Are you saying that then, like when people are first starting with the pee pad, that they should leave it out instead of throwing it away and replacing it right away?
No, I'm not saying that, because the dog is not stupid. It's kind of like they're gonna use and mark the grass almost always. You're gonna see that the dogs are doing that always on the same place. Most likely the dog's gonna pee and poo at the same place, not because it's their toilet, but because it's their territory. And this is a bound, this is a border. That's it.
So is it good to remove all the floor mats off the floor so they don't think that the rugs and the floor mats are pee pads?
We had a couple of incidents regarding that, and we just removed that by, you remove them from the beginning, you remove them from the bathrooms to start with. But if you kind of like very closely and intentionally teach them to do on a pee pad by creating a little space to start with where you will have only bed and the pee pad, then they're going to be used to a pee pad. Of course, the rug can look like a pee pad occasionally, but the whole idea is to create an atmosphere for the dog to know where is a cave and what's the territory. And if you have in your mind, it's not your apartment, it's not your home, it's a cave. It's a cave that needs to be protected. And if you pee and poo in a cave, you can attract other predators to a cave. So the dogs doesn't do that in a cave. Neither the puppies are doing that in a cave. When the wolf puppies are doing that in a cave, the mother would eat and lick all of that, because that is what they are doing. That would do the mother to the dogs as well. It's not different. The mother would lick it, and the mother would eat it, and mother would soon, until the dogs are eating the fresh food, like a mother's food, she gonna eat it. The moment the dogs start eating other food, they're gonna just generously take it out from the cave. And that is when they are actually starting to go out slowly, experience exploring. And that's always happening in between third and second and third week of birth. And also that's mentally happened when you take a puppy. For example, you go to a shelter and you adopt the dog and you take him in the home. Energetically and socialize wise, you need to treat him like a puppy. You need to treat his language and his communication skills and level like he doesn't know the language. Neither you know the language. And you start from the day one. You appreciate the grief, because no matter from which place the dog is coming, he's grieving the old environment. And then when you respect them, you give him a space for a couple of days. You do the same. The potty training as well. Or if those are the males that are already, putting the leg up or something like that, marking the territory that way, then you don't put the potty training down. You put it over some things, over the, how you say that? You put it over the.
You cover the furniture, or what do you mean?
Yeah, you put it on a couple of places. You put the, kako kaže, prekriješ ogradicu.
You cover the little fence?
How you call that? That it's not a crate, it's a...
Like a fenced-in area?
Like a fenced-in area. And then instead of putting for the older dogs that are not used to you yet, and you don't know how they're going to react when you take them to a walk or when you take them to a toilet, the dogs are not ready for that until you do not develop relationship. That is why we need that place. If you have a yard of outside, it's great. But what you're going to do if you bring a dog to a home and the home happen to be a high riser? How then you get to that point where you take him out just to find a place where he out, like the couple of yards away from the entrance, he do mark his little territory, and you take him back home to a cave. And that's what you always need to understand. The dogs will never do that in a cave unless they don't want to attract you in the cave. So that's very important. That's always a signaling. It's not peeing and pooing, it's signaling. It's signaling something's went wrong, it's signaling danger. They think that you are in the danger when you are separated, and that's why they are peeing and pooing all over the home, because they want you to find a way back by smelling the way back. That's how they think we are incompetent of living the life, because we don't have any leadership skills. Why we don't have any? Because how do they know that we don't have any leadership skills? Because we because they miss the, help me. How do they know that you don't have any leadership skills? Because we are miscommunicating with them. And if they are miscommunicating with them, they are thinking that we're going to miscommunicate with everyone. And they say, I have a dog using a pee pad since the day one. I have 2 areas where the pee pads are. In this area surrounded by a pen type thing. He also trained to go outside when it's the weather is permitting. Right now it's -38, so it's cold for him and for me to go out. That's perfectly sad. So you always want to have those places as a parts of non-cave portions of the places, and they're gonna go there and they're gonna mark the territory. And that's when you switch the definition of the toilet into marking the territory, then you will be immediately having an idea about how you need to train the puppies to potty train, because it's not a potty training. It's giving them the place to show the mark, and then wherever you put that that territory to be, they're gonna mark it, and they go to the same territory. They go to the same pee pads, not because they are trained to go to a pee pad, because they are going to the same place to mark the territory. That's the fence of the territory. That's where we mark. That's where we leave our. That's where we leave our signals. So it's kind of like the way to interact with the dogs is getting into mind of the dog, and the mind of the dog is mind of the wolf puppy, mind of the wolf. Until we do not accept that fact, we're going to be mistreating the dogs because we were thinking it's a separate and different species. It's a species that was developed by the human intervention by creating a different outline. But the language, they communicate the same. How we can learn to...
The instinct.
The instinct is the same. Because you will take... the instinct, that's great. The instinct is the same. And that's the problem, where the instinct is the same in a communication sense. And then you said like a dog's in captivity doesn't talk this way and dog... No, the dogs in captivity or the wolves in captivity are influenced by the humans. And the moment you get influenced by the humans, you lose to observe the natural behavior that wouldn't occur if the humans wouldn't be present. So that is why we can't teach nothing. We can learn nothing from the dogs. In this sense of the communication with them, we can learn a lot of other things from them, but not in this sense. And the other thing, we need the source. We need to access the wild, untagged and unimpacted structure of the dog's behavior that we need to learn and can learn only from the wolves. Wolves, not any wolf, because the wolves that are created and wolves that are in zoos and wolves that are in enclosed areas, we can't learn nothing from them because they are limited in their possibilities. And soon they are limited in possibilities, they're going to use a different growth, and they're going to evolve in something that's going to be already impact. So it's not intact. So what I want to say here always is something that we almost kind of, run through, and the people don't get that and don't understand that properly, is the idea of how this dog wolf connection in the communication looks like. So we can say, let's say that the dogs are communicating. Let's say consider like this: the people. Let's observe the species, and let's observe the humans, and then let's use humans that talk English language and let's say Serbian language. So when they talk Serbian and English, they doesn't understand each other, even though they're gonna talk about the same thing. So when I tell you hvala, you wouldn't understand me that I told you thank you, and you would maybe think that I'm rude if I reply you with hvala something sometime when you give me, so you give me something and then I reply hvala. If you don't understand that, you're gonna be rude. So there is the impact of our social the social communication that actually my parents taught me Serbian and your parents taught you English. So what is a natural language of the nature of the humans? It's not a language, it's a behavior. And then the behavior is not the same if you are raised here by these standards or raised somewhere else by the other standards. So if we want to come to a point like but when we say we cry, we laugh, we have expression of the different emotions. How do we express sadness? How do we express happiness? How do we express any different level of sorrow or grief? All of those things are beyond the language. And all of those things are also available to the people that are in a prison and the people that are free to move away wherever they move. So that is where we need to look for the dog language, to access the emotions, to interpret their behavior and emotions beyond human interference. And that's only because if you see how the puppies are looking to, let's see. Okay, I can do that.
So you're saying don't expect the dogs to get on our level and to learn human language and to understand what's right and wrong based on our perception, but to understand their awareness and how they communicate. And then also don't look for signs and for clues from domesticated dogs. Go into the wild or look for wild canines.
Yeah, because that's very interesting to see. If you would see, just a second to see.
You can't share.
Are you sure?
Yeah, don't.
You checked?
You can, but it's not, if you're not prepared, you're gonna mess up the streaming.
How come that we are not prepared for that?
You can show it next time.
Okay, I'll show it.
What are you trying to show? How they communicate?
Yeah, I'll try to show. So go and see, you see when the puppy
you can
comes
describe it
okay,
without showing it.
When the puppy comes to us and he nicely kind of licks us on the face or try to do that, okay? Then you will see, oh my God, he's kissing me and he's so cute, okay? And then you see two puppies interact among themselves and you would see them do the same, kissing each other, licking around the face, playing with each other. Then you say the dog is doing the same to the other dogs. The same thing he's doing to me, he's doing to the other dogs. So I'm not special. But then the funny thing is when you go and observe a little wolf puppies or the wolf behavior, you would see the same pattern. Not only with the wolves, but any canine on this planet, any canida, any canine on this planet gonna use the same language. Means that we need to learn the language of the canines, the language of the dogs. Dog is only one of the many canines. And if we say one of the many canines, we would think about that one of the many humans would have a different way of communicating. What's a different way of communicating is just the language, right? But the sadness is a sadness expressed the same way. The sorrow is sorrow. The happiness is happiness. And then when the way we learn how to express those emotions are across a race, color, and anything that comes along those sides. It's the same thing for the entire species called Homo sapiens. And then when you dive into this understanding of the canine species, and then understand that canine lupus and canine familiaris are only connected through the experience of the physical of the physical appearance, but down deep they use the same way of communicating, then you will see how stressful for them is this man-made world, and they are looking they're trying so hard to find their place within these walls of freedom that actually end up being their gold cage. And then, so I think that's very important for this week that starts at day 7 and ends at day 14, like a second week of your interaction, is that you want to introduce all kind of noises within the home environment, but while playing or by feeding the dog or rewarding your dog for staying calm when experiencing these settings of the noises that he might be experiencing when he goes out. And that's where you treat your dog with the dignity, because you don't expect for him to drive the Ferrari without helping him learn the lessons of driving first. That's where the beauty of our relationship is. And it's the first 15 days before you take your dog first out into a walk, or actually to mark, hunt and look for the food, and hunt and look for the food and mark the territory. Before you put such a burden on your dog, be sure that he trusts you as a leader. And then when you're gonna develop that relationship of trust, then the dog gonna go after you just because you are going there. And then you're gonna immediately, next week, like, how long is the puppy with us when we let him first off leash? Like 20 days, right? Around something, 20, 25 days. He was with us when we first time took him by the river, and we let him first off leash for the first time. He was not going anywhere. He was just around our legs. That's where the puppy stays. He doesn't go to explore without. And soon he went maybe 1-2 yards away of us. Like, you just turn on the other side and just don't call the puppy. Just don't. This is how you interact with him. That if he is not around you, he might lose you. And that's where the puppy, learn that they're gonna just, go in little environment around you. And then when you have puppy on a walk, when you take a puppy on a leash, then the puppy again stays around and there's he, maybe go a couple of yards forward, and he stops, wait for you, then you come, then he goes by you, then he stays behind you and things like that. But he trusts you. That's the most important thing, the trust. And this second week, we use in order to develop the trust. And then you can, if you have some friends, that you can invite friends to the home, but also advise them just to be, when the people come to a place, then you reward the dog, you shake the hands with the people, you have interaction with the people. That's very nice. And then the dogs would just be there a while, then go to sleep and leave you do your things. And also with the dogs, if you have some dogs around that are friendly, you can invite them at your place, or you can take your dog to another place, so the dog actually sees that other animals and other dogs are welcome to our cave. And then when he sees that the other dogs are coming to our cave and it's welcomed by the leaders, that they're gonna understand when they go out. So there is no need for dogs to kind of jump on everything and everyone, because they don't trust you. And then the way to develop the trust is start from the day one. When you wanna, this is what we are talking about, is how to raise a perfect puppy, or how to raise the perfect dog that you adapted from the shelter, is the same. But if you want to start fixing some problem that you have in your dog's relationship, it's going to require a little more time, a little more dedication, because the dog going to question your ability. Why did you change overnight almost? Because he didn't know you took a course of, Doggy Mom Academy. And then when you start implementing these things, you would, again, do 2 days of that emotional separation. Then you get into day 3. Then you get into week 1. You stay at home all the time. You don't take a dog outside until you do not fix your relationship with him within the home. I know that this is the most criticized portion of this teaching and of this reality, but it's a reality, and we can't We cannot take it. I saw the people changing their dogs within these 2 weeks, but they need to adapt. They need to stop walking the dog for 2 weeks and then do the homework and move a butt away from the chair and do the hard work, not just yelling to a dog, don't do that, don't yell, don't scream. You are just contributing to the entire environment. No, kind of like the real work with the dog doesn't include any yelling, doesn't include any talking. It's very active, but on the other side, it's very passive. It's like silent dynamism. You are very dynamic in the actions that you are doing and performing, but on the other side, silent with this language that we use in order to coordinate with them whatever we want. And that's actually relationship might end up in the beautiful, in a beautiful relationship with the dogs. That's actually might end up becoming a silent meditation. And that is why the dogs are not, people are not able to keep the shelter dogs. All of these COVID puppies are left back because the people doesn't know what to do with them. Because of all of that time that we spend together, like more time we spend together, more disciplined the people need to be in order to become responsible owners. And that doesn't require talkings. That's the most difficult thing. It's a language of silence. Is a silent dynamism, how the Maharishi like to say about transcendental meditation. It's very, especially the city program. It's a dynamic way of meditating. Osho had meditations like that, the dynamic meditations that are very active physically, where on the other side, mind settles. So they call it always silent dynamism. And that's where we are with in relationship to our dogs. Silently dynamic in a relationship that actually ends up into kind of meditation. Otherwise, we just how can I say? We just keep adding more fuel to what the dog doesn't want to do, and we don't want them to do, and we just keep screaming at them and punishing them, and oftentimes even it's very important if you wanna pursue that way. But this is entire program and everything we do. It's called pure love and harmony. There is no place for punishment of no kind. So the bad behavior is ignored. Proper behavior is welcomed and expected and doesn't require a special reward. Here and there, you can say good boy or give some treats. And everything that we want to, enforce, we are enforcing through the connection with the positive stimuli. It can be a food or it can be attention.
So how does that look like practically? Because now by like the second and third walk, he completely stopped barking or getting excited about people, but he's still he's even getting less and less barky at other dogs. So what do I do when I'm walking him and he starts barking at other dogs? And also you said about ignoring him when he's doing something you don't want, for example. Like what should we be doing if the dog starts digging in our house plants in the dirt?
So there are a lot of questions in this one question. So is it a walk with the dogs that he barks on, or it's a plants and the dirt? So everything that's available is to be explored. So if, as we did when he started to dig on our big plants and palms and everything we have here potted in the beautiful big pots, the only thing you can prevent that is just put something on top of the
to cover it.
So
don't give him a chance to make.
Okay, and
decision.
how long it took him to stop doing it?
Like a couple of days. And then also the same thing with if you don't want your dog on your furniture, prevent him from getting up there by putting pillows or some kind of
chairs. You can put the chairs on top because it's
and
every
why
single.
Doesn't it work to yell no and to punish him for it?
But because it's
What's
actually
wrong. Why is that wrong?
First, you need to take your attention and look for the so-called experiment of the little Albert. Little Albert experiment is performed back in early 60s by the American psychologist called I don't know what's his name, but John Watson, I guess, Dr. Watson. And he published his first PhD. He published for the University of Chicago, and he called that big capital. It's very big and informative research called animal learning, animal education. And he was learning about how the education of the mouses affects their brain physiology. So how more we know and more we learn, more myelin shields we have in our brain. So with more learning, faster we get to solve the results, because the impulse through the brain to the places where the information is covered of how to solve this problem, the faster it gets to that. But it doesn't only change us by knowing and expressing ourselves in the behavior, changes us in the physiology. So impacts physiology. Physiology of the fear also impacts the body by raising a cortisol level, by raising the activity of the adrenaline gland, nadbubrežna žlezda, how we say that?
Good question.
I don't know. So Google, like which gland released the adrenaline.
Is it thyroid?
No, it's not the thyroid. It's nadbubrežna. It's on top of the kidney, somewhere there. So and those activities, when you guide by the fear, then why the dog is not doing it anymore, it's because he freezes every single time when the circumstances arise to be same. So he freezes out from the fear. And the fear is producing the complete hormonal structure that will prevent dog from doing it by creating a bad physiology trigger that might ruin his immune system, that might end up opening a door for all kinds of diseases, starting from simple ones like being much more exposed to some infections, down to a worst ones by being eligible and much easier having an immune system that's not able to fight cancer cells.
Adrenal gland.
Okay, adrenal gland. So the adrenal gland, when we attack the dog, we don't do that, or we punish him on any level, the dog freezes. And he freezes because that's what the body does. Either fight or fly or freeze. But actually how it goes, fly, freeze, fight. And the dog is, especially when they're puppies, they can't fly away. They don't have where to fly away. They can't fight because we are much bigger than them. What happens? They freeze. But then the stress, if they freeze every single time when they need to do something, so they don't do it because we freeze them, it will change their physiology. And the physiology won't change. And once you start working on those hormones, like manipulate the dog's behavior through the adrenaline and cortisol, there is a big price to be paid down the road. We're going to kill the dog slowly by enforcing negative emotions to him, guiding it by the fear. The Watson later on performed another research that was done on the little Albert. That was a boy, like a baby, I don't know, like 5-6 months old baby. And he was, the mother gave the baby for the experiment. She was a local cleaning lady in that hospital, like a nurse. And then she agreed for $1 to borrow the baby for the experiment. And then Dr. Watson, as his assistants, were exposing baby to any kind of creatures, like a creature like a little mouse and a bunny and a monkey and all kind of toys with the furry toys, the white colors, things like that. And the baby was very interested and, very, wanna see, wanna touch, wanna do those things. But then at one stage, they started in week 3 or 4, they started to introduce extremely unpleasant noises every single time when the baby touches any of those animals that he was actually playing with a couple of weeks. before. So now when he touches something, the enormously big noise was created by some machine within that experiment lab. So the baby very soon, like maybe a couple of days later, being exposed to this pressure, developed a panic attack, even when he saw anything without any noises. So Watson was just speculating that he would be able to implement the Pavlov experiment on the humans. But then his idea, what happened there is that the mother got scared and then ran away with the baby, preventing Dr. Watson, as of his words, to finish the experiment. Because what he said is that the Pavlov experiment was, if you incorporate a ring to a feeding ritual and you feed the dog when you ring together, slowly the dog will develop salivation even when the food is not present, but when you just ring the bell. And that's usually all that we know from the Pavlov experiment. But the conclusion of the Pavlov experiment is more important than the experiment itself. And the Pavlov also had a conclusion of that experiment, that he said, this type of the enforcement cannot be used in the education, because the moment the primary stimuli will be moved away and you try only to ring to a dog in order to produce a saliva, and if enforced long enough without slowly and occasionally introducing the first stimuli, the ringing the bell wouldn't be sufficient to produce a saliva forever.
So
slowly deteriorate.
Conditioned response is easily broken.
Conditioned response is easily broken. Why it's not, and for animals, that's much easier than for the humans. Because the human's mind operates differently. And then what the Watson speculated, and then there is an openness to a consciousness, and the levels of consciousness that the animals and the dogs or whatever has compared to human consciousness. No one denies about the consciousness existence, self-awareness and self-experience surrounding the outer world and the environment. But what doubts is affection of the physiology of the brain memory and how long it can carry the secondary produced stimuli without first one. And with the humans, that's obviously a long time because of the trauma that we have experienced a long time ago next to something. And every single time, as of now, we get triggered even though we are far away from the experience of the trauma. For some dogs can be the same. And going through the re-traumatization might be an experience that the dog reacts very easily. Because the moment the initial stimuli is taken away, the replacement slowly loses its function. So get back just because then the entire scientific community turned on the Watson, which kind of monster he was to, do this to the child and things like that. And he blamed it on the mother. Because later on, the real thing, what happened to the little Albert in unknown, even though there is a clear thing, I don't know why it's not known, because you can track the boy. He died in between age of 9 and 10 in cemetery, in some
Orphanage?
Yeah, orphanage. His mom was working there as well. At that orphanage, he was there, and he died of hydrocephalus, of the extortion of the brain. Like, brain was something that was damaged. And then the critics of the Watsons would saying that actually because of his experiment, the baby suffered such a brain damage that experiment is connected to his death 10 years later. Where the Watson kind of said, blame it on mother, because he said his initial idea was to take a baby through the experience of loving the animals and all kind of things that are fluffy and nice, developing the negative, enforcing the fear to those things, getting him to a point of being traumatized when he sees all of those things. And then he would love to prove that in a short period of time, you can take back experiment to the beginning, annulating everything of experience, negative experience that happened in between. And then he said, because a mom ran away with the baby, he never get a chance to prove the circle of experiment work. So that's how the negative enforcement of anything we do to our dogs enforces and changes the physiology of the dogs. Physiology of the dog changes and they stop doing it. Or physiology of the dog changes and they love doing it. They love doing it whenever they do something, they're filled and packed with endorphin, hormone of the oxytocin, and all kind of joy hormones that can interact our beautiful relationship. And that is what you mold your dog from within. Releasing all of those healing and beautiful hormones are healing for the life. Where in contrary, every single time we punish for the dog for something we don't agree with, we create stress on him. But it's not only stress for him not to behave the way we don't approve, but he will stop doing that by freezing in time, freezing in emotions, and ruining his internal body on a way of collapse. And no bet that we are having this more than 60% of the dogs, whichever study you want to go after, 60% of the dogs are suffering some kind of cancer in late years of their life. It's because the immune system is completely shut off. It has to do with a lot of poisonings pollution that we are exposed to, the lack of minerals in the food that we do. Even if you give them a supplements of I don't know which kind, the organism is not well prepared and not well equipped to absorb anything that we give them extra. We don't perform no cleanings. We don't perform no recovery of the organism of the dog. No matter how great food we give it to them, if they are not able to absorb nothing, it's for nothing. So when we think about talking and taking care about a dog, all encompassing 360 pet care understanding and needed, a consciousness and awareness is needed. Only little bits and pieces will not fix anything, because they are creatures of the beauty, creatures of love, creatures of community, of the family, of the system, of the emotions that they connect each other with. They are connected with each other, and only when observing them as a creature of wholeness, and that wholeness doesn't anywhere includes negative behavior of the humans towards them. That's the only visa for the long-lasting life in a pure love and harmony. And the only way to achieve that is through silent dynamism, where we're going to be very active in the life of the dog by remaining silent and remaining responsible to a level of our
duty,
leadership and duty we need to perform. And I think this would be a nice full stop to all of this. Again, we went all over the place, but the most important thing is to understand that punishing the dog changes its physiology. And on the other side, making dog happy changes its physiology. What we need to know is to recognize the real happiness of the dog and to achieve it, to remain faithful to the path this beautiful relationship is on. So with that said, I guess.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and see you next time. Same place, same time, 7 p.m. Pacific time.
Thank you so much, and bye.